Vidura understood the king's position. He knew his words were having little effect, and so Vidura decided that Dhritarashtra needed to hear from someone more spiritually potent. After having spoken to the king for several hours, finally he said, "O king, I am but a Shudra. I cannot instruct you further. But I do know of someone who can. The saintly Rishi, Sanat Sujata, has instructed me in the eternal Vedic truths on many occasions. So I will invoke him, and he will appear just to speak to you. Oh, that sage has lived a life of perpetual celibacy. His words are powerful and pure. So with your permission, I will call him." Dhritarashtra agreed, and so Vidura sat in meditation, fixing his mind on Sanat Sujata. The rishi divined Vidura's thoughts by his own mystic power, and he came there at once. His body shone with a brilliant luster, and he carried a water pot and a staff in his hands. Vidura received him with due rites and offered him an elevated seat near the king. When the sage was sitting at ease, Vidura spoke. "O great sage, the king has doubts which I myself cannot clear. So if it be your desire, please instruct him in the ancient truths just as you have realized them. For only you can free him from duality and help him become fixed on the path of virtue." The rishi, who was clad in a black deerskin and with matted locks of hair, nodded. Seeing his willingness to speak, Vidura told the king to place his questions before him, and Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanat Sujata, please guide me. Pray, tell me how I can attain to the highest end of my life. Death comes to all beings, but I hear that you know the secret of defeating death. So how should I act that I might not be forever subjected to birth and death in this world?" You have asked how death may be avoided and eternal life attained. Listen, O king, and I shall instruct you to the best of my knowledge. It is said that actual death is ignorance, and where there is no ignorance, there is no death. One who is ruled by lust, anger, and greed is ruled by Yamaraj, and will see that great god again and again. Falling into all kinds of hells, one suffers unbearable miseries. Then, again one rises and takes birth among animals and men in this world, once more beginning the cycle. But one who controls the senses and does not act on their dictates is saved from this suffering. To such a man who checks his mind and senses, death is but a straw tiger. Therefore, you should avoid all sensual desires and cultivate knowledge of the eternal soul, which exists separately from the senses and is different from the body. O sage, can you tell me what regions those who control their senses attain? How should such a man act in this world? I am not satiated by hearing you speak only once." Sanat Sujata sat cross-legged on a golden seat, his two hands held in front of him, with forefinger and thumb joined together as he spoke. "O king, one should perform sacrifice and penance aimed at pleasing the Supreme Person. If you do this, you will attain the supreme eternal regions from which you will not return. Step by step, one should progress along the path of knowledge, never thinking oneself to be the material body, and always acting to attain spiritual advancement. Dhritarashtra flinched as the sage continued. The aged monarch already knew these teachings. He knew the sage spoke the truth. Dhritarashtra knew that his own actions had been far from submissive to those instructions. However, worse than that, he knew he was unlikely to change. No doubt he would have to perform much asceticism and penance to atone for his sins. Maybe then he would finally be able to apply the saint's instructions. But it seemed that for now, destiny was moving him to act in ways contrary to good advice. Feeling helpless in the face of his own weakness, Dhritarashtra went on questioning the rishi. Sanat Sujata could also see the king's inner feelings, but he continued to address him for his ultimate welfare. It was up to Dhritarashtra to choose his own course of action. The sage knew well that all he could do was make clear the consequences of the various courses available to the king. Dhritarashtra listened as Sanat Sujata described how the Supersoul, Paramatma, pervades the universe and resides in the hearts of all living beings. Then the king asked, "Oh, how can one come to know that Paramatma, Supersoul?" The Supreme, who is known as Brahman, can only be known by one who has attained the same spiritual nature as Brahman. That nature is attained by the practice of serving a spiritual master, studying the Vedas, observing celibacy, practicing asceticism, and abstaining from violence towards others. Gradually, one will become free of the material nature's influence and become situated in one's original spiritual nature. Then, by meditation, one can know the Supreme. Now Dhritarashtra was intrigued. What form does the immortal and omnipresent Supersoul have in this world? Is he white, red, black, or some other color? What are his attributes? He may appear as any color, but he is not like anything within your present experience. He is the form of the universe, and simultaneously appears in the heart in a form the size of your thumb. Everything rests in him and is absorbed back into him at the time of dissolution. He is without duality, and yet from him springs the infinite varieties of creation. His arms and legs are spread everywhere, and yet he remains still. He sees everything and possesses all knowledge. And at the same time, no one is unknown to that Supreme Being. Returning back to the king's question about how to know the Supersoul, Sanat Sujata further described what behavior elevates one to the spiritual platform. He went on to explain about the nature of Brahman and the state one experiences when one attains that Brahman nature. Sanat Sujata spoke until the rising sun filled the king's chamber. Seeing that it was daybreak, the rishi concluded his discourse and stood up to leave. Vidura touched his feet, and both he and the king thanked him for his instructions. Then Sanat Sujata vanished, leaving the two men to prepare themselves for the assembly. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklad Aklad Dayane Hiranya Kashipo Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalai Ito Nursingha Parato Nursingho Yato Yato Yamitato Nursingha Bahi Nursingho Hridaye Nursingho Nursingham Ading Sharanang Tapadi Tabakara Kamalabare Nakham Adbhuta Sringan Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Nisingha Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama